Hello, little children. I hope you've had a nice weekend. I've certainly missed you since those two. You had Friday, Monday off. So, this week's spelling sound or letter pattern. I'm not going to say sound. Letter pattern is OUGH. So we'll start by reading the learning outcome. To identify, read and spell words with OUGH letter pattern, the success criteria then, find and read words with OUGH letter pattern, explain the spelling rule for OUGH letter pattern, and correctly spell words with OUGH letter pattern. Now, the reason I'm spelling it out each time is because OUGH has loads and loads of different pronunciations, which we will go through in time. But first of all, let's do speed spell. So, number one, caught. This is, remember, the previous letter pattern. Caught. I caught my finger in the door. Ouch. Caught. Number two, laughter. I could hear laughter through the window. Laughter. Not. I caught not when I went fishing. Not. Number four, fraught. The whole house was fraught with danger. Fraught. Number five, draft. I could feel the draft because the window was open. Draft. And number six, slaughter. There was a dreadful slaughter in the war. Okay, so check your answers. You can let me know how you got on. Right, let's look at the spelling rule. So OUGH makes many different sounds. Off, off, o, ough, ooh, and And here are just some examples. So cough, rough, bow, and though. Bow, B-O-U-G-H, that means part of a tree, the bough of a tree, which is a big branch at the bottom of a tree, we would call a bough. That's what that word means. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall. Down will come baby and cradle and all. If you know that nursery rhyme, Rockabye Baby. Okay, so if it's THR, do you know what that word is? It's through. And if it's D, it's dough, as in play-doh or donut. If it begins with T, it's tough. And PL is plough, although they're all spelt OUGH. Okay, so here are the words, and I'll run through them as quickly as I can. So we've got rough, tough, cough, trough. I don't know if you know trough, but what trough means is it's a place that animals eat from. In fact, I think it's pronounced trough. Yes, it's a trough. Excuse me. So rough, tough, cough, trough. Then we have dough, though, ought. Now that is different from AUGHT because AUGHT means anything. Ought means should. I ought to do my work. I should do my work. Okay. Then we've got bought. That is something from a shop. So that is the past tense of buy. Okay. Then we've got bough, which I've already said is part of a tree. And then the bottom one there is plough, as in that's the word that you would use to dig up a field, to plough the field. That's what farmers do. Okay, let's look at the orange words then. We've got enough and not. Not means zero. It's slightly different from NAUGHT, which means nothing. This means the number zero. So noughts and crosses would be zeros and X's, some people call it. Then sought, that is the past tense of seek. So it's about finding something. Fought is the past tense of fight. Brought is the past tense of bring. It's not, often people say brung. Brung is not a word, it's brought. Thought is the past tense of think. Through, that is through the window. I could see you through the window. Not, I threw a ball at you. That's THREW. Although, borough. Now, incidentally, borough is a funny word because actually it's an English word. It's not used in Scotland. Well, it is, but it's spelt differently. It's spelt BURGH in Scotland, as in Edinburgh. Edinburgh is spelt EDINBURGH. But for example, in England, they have towns that end in borough. All our boroughs in Scotland, like Helensburgh, they all end in URGH. But in England, for example, they have a city called Middlesbrough, and that is spelt BOROUGH. Okay? And then the one below it is thorough. So borough and thorough actually rhyme. So if you could say I was very thorough in my cleaning of the classroom, that's what that word would mean, or that's how you'd use it. Okay, red words. We've got throughout. So throughout the day. So and so. Wrought. I'm sure that's a past tense of something, but I can't think what. Anyway, it's used to make things, particularly out of metal. And actually, there's such a thing as wrought iron, because it's things. So you could have something like a fancy metal gate, and you could say that was wrought iron, because it was made out of metal. Okay, then we've got sourdough. So there's your dough at the end. Sourdough is a way of cooking, and often bread. You get a thing called sourdough bread, which is quite nice. Then roughshod. Shod actually is quite an old-fashioned word, and it means to put a shoe on. And it's, for example, if somebody was unshod, they wouldn't have shoes on. Roughshod means to go over the top of something in a way that's not good. And the phrase that's usually used is to ride roughshod. So, for example, if you had spent ages, say, for example, you built something out of lollipop sticks and it was beautiful, like we made our Christmas decorations, and then if somebody came in and was very careless, say they were packing them up and they put them very carelessly into a box and they broke, you could say that person rode roughshod over all your work. Okay, then we've got thoughtful, donut, drought. Now, remember last week we had draft, DRAUGHT. So this is spelled almost exactly the same, but it's pronounced drought, and it means a shortage of water. Okay. So for example, if you had a long time without any rain, you might say there was a drought. there's a shortage of water. Breakthrough, that is when something new happens. For example, you might say you had a breakthrough in your understanding of maths. Then thoroughbred, that is often used to describe horses. Bred means to do with your parents. So a thoroughbred means that the parents of the horse have got are good horses, and that means that the horse is able to run fast. I guess they use it for cats and dogs too. I don't know if you know that cats and dogs, and probably horses as well, they have shows to see which one looks the best. And what cats and dogs and horses do is they have papers that says who their parents, who their grandparents are, who their great grandparents are, who their great great grandparents are, to prove that they're thoroughbred of that breed of dog or cat or horse. Okay, and afterthought. So an afterthought is just something that you thought of later. You might come back and say, oh, I just need to add this afterthought. And finally, let's look at the commonly misspelled words. So we've got occasion. Occasion is a bit like necessary because you're trying to work out where the double letters are. It's a double C and a single S. Okay, so if it was a single C and a double S, it would be pronounced Occasion or Occasion, because believe it or not, the I in that word works as a magic E, and it makes it in the A into an A sound. That's very complicated, but with a single S, it's occasion. With a double S, it would be occasion or occasion. So that's a way to help you remember that it's a single S. Occurred is a double C and a double R. If it was a single R, it would be occurred. But if you were to write just the word occur, that just has a single R. So the double R comes on for the ED. Official, double F. Often or often. Sometimes people don't pronounce the T. I don't pronounce the T, but I'm sure a lot of you do. The same as in soften. I wouldn't pronounce the T, but some people would pronounce it soften. Either is correct. If it helps you with your spelling, then pronounce it often to help you remember that there's a T in it. No double letters there. That's the only one of our commonly misspelled words this week that doesn't have a double letter. Because if we look at omission, it has a double S. And if you can remember, that comes originally from the word miss, and then mission, omission. Omission means to miss. When I say that, it actually comes from the word omit, which means to miss out. So, for example, I'm sure you've noticed that occasionally when I do the register, I miss somebody out. That's what you would call an omission. I've accidentally missed somebody out. Okay, I've omitted somebody. It's an omission. Okay, so those are this week's words, and hopefully you'll get 15 out of 15 this time on Friday. So spelling test back to Friday this week.